Patriots, I want to play a clip for you of a lady saying her family was nearly killed in South Africa during xenophobic attacks. But the problem with these fake refugees is that they contradict themselves at every turn. They claim South Africa is a dangerous, xenophobic country where they live in constant fear for their lives. Yet, when given the opportunity to leave for safer nations, they stubbornly refuse to do so. Why? Because deep down, they know that no other country will offer them the same level of tolerance, support, and benefits that South Africa does. The very country they accuse of being hostile is the one they cling to when it's time to put their claims to the test. These fake refugees use xenophobia as a tool to gain sympathy and leverage, but their actions speak louder than their words. If South Africa were truly the hellhole they describe, they would have no hesitation in leaving for a more welcoming place. But the truth is, they know that in many other countries, they wouldn't receive the same leniency and opportunities. They stay because they're aware that their claims of danger are exaggerated and serve a different agenda. It's also worth noting that while they cry about South Africa's supposed dangers, they often ignore the risks in their own home countries or other regions where they could seek refuge. They conveniently forget that the South African government, despite its flaws, provides them with protection, services, and opportunities they might not find elsewhere. The irony is glaring. They denounce South Africa while simultaneously taking full advantage of what it offers. In the end, their reluctance to leave reveals the truth. They don't want to go to these safer countries because they know the grass isn't greener on the other side. South Africa, for all its challenges, offers them something they can't find elsewhere, a place where their victim narrative can be sustained and where they can exploit the very system they claim to despise. They think we are stupid. You'll never hear them criticizing their governments, but day and night, they are telling us that the South African government failed them. But as locals, we know the truth. We were not failed by our government, they were failed by theirs. The irony is almost laughable, patriots. These fake refugees are quick to point fingers at our government, claiming it doesn't care about them, that it's somehow responsible for their hardships. But they conveniently forget that it's their own governments back home that failed to provide them with a safe and stable life in the first place. Instead of holding their own leaders accountable, they come here and expect us to pick up the pieces. Now let's think about this. If our government is so terrible, why do they continue to rely on it for everything? They criticize South Africa for not doing enough, yet they depend on our government for asylum, for healthcare, for education, and even for jobs. They bite the hand that feeds them, all the while taking advantage of the very system they claim is broken. It's a blatant contradiction, and as patriots, we see right through it. And here's where it gets even more absurd. They're telling us that the South African government has failed them, yet they're not rushing to leave. No, they stick around, demanding more and more from a country they say has let them down. But we know the truth, patriots. Our government isn't perfect, but it's certainly better than what they had. That's why they're here, and that's why they stay. So next time you hear them complaining about how South Africa has failed them, remember this. It's not South Africa that failed them, it's their own countries. And while they continue to criticize our government, they're more than happy to depend on it. We as patriots know the truth, and we won't be fooled by their empty words. She goes on about how South Africa is too poor, too dangerous, too everything. But when it comes to packing up and leaving, suddenly, she's got nowhere better to go. Whether she's from Malawi, Nigeria, or Zimbabwe, the story is always the same. South Africa is the worst place ever, yet they cling to it like it's their last hope. And let's not forget, she's supposedly in the USA now, where the Republicans don't exactly roll out the red carpet for refugees. But she hasn't gone back home either. Has she? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? These fake refugees love to paint South Africa as this poverty-stricken wasteland with no opportunities. But if that were really the case, why are they still here? Why not return to their more prosperous home countries? Or better yet, seek asylum in wealthier nations? The truth is, deep down, they know that South Africa, for all its challenges, still offers them more than what they'd find elsewhere. And that's the irony. Patriots. They talk down on South Africa while quietly enjoying the benefits it provides. You know what's really happening here, patriots? They're trying to play both sides. They want to complain about how terrible South Africa is, hoping for more sympathy, more aid, more everything. But when it comes time to actually leave, they stay put. Because they know, and we know, that South Africa isn't as bad as they make it out to be. It's just easier to blame South Africa than to face the reality of what's happening in their own countries. So, next time you hear someone talking about how poor and hopeless South Africa is, remember this. If it's so bad, why aren't they leaving? Why aren't they going back to their supposedly better countries? The answer is simple. They know they've got it better here than they would anywhere else. And as patriots, we see through their lies. We won't be fooled by their tales of woe. Listen to her.
Okay, so guys, let me do a real quick story time on how my little brothers almost literally got unalived in South Africa during one of the xenophobic attacks. So this one day, me and my family had just moved from Johannesburg to Durban, and then we're like in a, those neighborhoods, those surviving neighborhoods. It wasn't like totally bad, but it was definitely, not safe. And then one day, we used to help my mother, me and my big sister, we used to help my mom, sell some stuff to make money, extra income, because it's really hard to just get a job as a foreigner in South Africa. And so my little brothers are like, hey, please take us to the playgrounds, we want to go to the park, blah blah blah. But me and my sister had things to do, babe. We had things to do. So we're like, you know what, how about we drop you guys off, and since the park is literally 5 minutes away, you guys could walk back home while we're gonna be doing that. So we go drop them off at the park. Now I have to remind you guys that on this day my mom went out dressed like, Bikwembe, like, I totally out like an outsider, because like in South Africa they don't wear bikwembe like the way we wear it in Central, Western, and East Africa. So she was literally looking like she was screaming, I'm not South African. And then she was not home. And then my brothers, they looked Somali and Ethiopian growing up. Big curls, long face, blah blah blah, all that. And I remember, so Ethiopians are such a big target, because in South Africa, when like you're a business owner, at least that's like 5-6 years ago. So when most business owners are like Ethiopians and stuff, Nigerians, so they're like a big target. Now my brother's looking like them, so during the xenophobic attack, of course, that puts them at a very high risk of getting hurt. So we dropped them at the park and we're like, okay, play until you're done, and then you walk back home and we'll meet you there. Tell me why we leave the kids at the park, and as we literally go back home, we see people running. People were literally running for their life, coming towards us. So we're thinking, babe, are we going towards the danger? So I don't know what happened, but we asked people. We're like, what is going on? Why is everybody running? And they're like, they're killing people, babe. When I tell you my mind, everything dropped, and I was like, Lord help me. My little brothers are 37. They were very young. So we're like, oh hell no, we have to go back. So we run back to get them. Luckily we get them on time. The people who are doing all those unaliving and beating people up were not yet, they didn't catch up to us. We're like minutes away from, like, we could see them coming. So as we entered the flat, we're lucky we used to live on the 10th floor, so we're like, maybe that's gonna be like a protection, and to get in our building you need a card. So we're lucky on that, so they were not just gonna pop in or just come in. So we went upstairs. Now we get home and I'm thinking, thank you God, my brothers could have literally been so hurt today, and us, but like my brothers, those are the focus. So we're so worried, but we're grateful to God. We're like, okay, we made it home, thank Jesus. But now is my mom, and she's dressed like that. I told my sister, you need to go find her. You need to go find our mom. She went. I don't know what happened, but we got a hold of her. We told her, it's going down, mom, you need to come back home, blah blah blah. My sister brought her home, and I think we had to be like in the house for like a week. No school, no work, nothing. You just had to survive because the attacks were bad. Those attacks would include burning people, beating them up, using machetes, really just horrible stuff. And I remember going downstairs after that week, and there was blood on the floor. I was just seeing blood, bro. And the people I'd seen the week before were gone, some of them. But luckily, we made it out. But I just think, like, you should never hate people to a point where you hurt them. I don't think it's fair, to anyone. You could literally dislike someone, but okay, my bad. What I'm saying is that you could disagree with the person. You could literally feel like the immigrants shouldn't be in your country or other Africans, but touching them, you have crossed a border even God did not say crossed. I don't think you should, by any chance, put hands on anyone, no matter the situation. I feel like there's always a peaceful way to go about it. That's that. I don't wish anyone the PTSD of xenophobic attacks. The PTSD me and my friends have is insane. We talk about this all the time. We're like, remember when we couldn't go to school because they said, oh, they doing it again today? Like, it's just not a good thing, guys. Like, no.
Welcome back, Patriots. Did you hear the crap she's saying? I mean, why stay in a xenophobic country? Their thinking capacity is mind-boggling. These fake refugees are quick to shout from the rooftops about how xenophobic South Africa is, how they're treated so poorly, and how unsafe it is for them here. But when it comes to actually leaving, they're nowhere to be found. If South Africa is really as hostile as they claim, why stick around? You'd think they'd be the first ones on a plane out of here, heading to a place where they would supposedly be welcomed with open arms. But no, they stay put, all while continuing to complain. It's almost as if they know that no other country would put up with their nonsense the way South Africa does. They might talk about how much better life would be elsewhere, but they don't actually take the steps to go there. Why? Because deep down, they know that the so-called xenophobia they claim to experience here is nothing compared to what they'd face in other parts of the world. The countries they think would treat them better might not even let them in, let alone provide them with the benefits they receive here. Let's be real, Patriots. If South Africa was truly as xenophobic as they say, they wouldn't be here in the first place, or they would have left by now. But they haven't. They know that while South Africa has its issues, it also offers opportunities, support, and a level of tolerance they might not find elsewhere. Their decision to stay speaks volumes. It's not about South Africa being xenophobic. It's about them wanting to have their cake and eat it too. They want to complain and play the victim while still enjoying the benefits of living here. So the next time they start talking about how xenophobic South Africa is, ask them why they're still here. Ask them why they haven't left for those supposedly better countries. The answer is simple. They know they've got it good here, and all the talk about xenophobia is just that, talk. As Patriots, we see through their game, and we're not buying it. There's a glaring inconsistency in the way these fake refugees talk about South Africa. On one hand, they claim there are no opportunities here, that the country is too poor to offer them a decent life. Yet, on the other hand, they resist the idea of relocating to other countries where they would supposedly have better prospects. If the opportunities are so limited here, why aren't they packing their bags and heading to greener pastures? The answer, Patriots, is simple. They know that South Africa, despite its challenges, still offers more than they'd find elsewhere. It's a classic case of wanting to have it both ways. They complain about the lack of opportunities in South Africa, but they're not willing to leave because they know they won't find the same level of support or benefits in other countries. Their reluctance to seek these better opportunities elsewhere exposes the truth. They know they've got it better here than they're willing to admit. Please help us grow our patriotic channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing. See you in the next video.